I'm Tom Chappell, and welcome to Lesson 2 of Managing Time. In this lesson, we're going to talk about knowing your values and creating your goals. Knowing your values, isn't that just a little touchy-feely? Well, it is, and it isn't. Let's talk about why. Well, it's because your personal values have guided you throughout your life, whether or not you've taken the time to identify what they are. This next level in organizing your work and personal life is to identify your values and understand who you really are and why you're moving in a certain direction. It may sound touchy-feely, but it underlies everything you do in your life. It's much better to be aware of your values so you can follow them more actively and directly. Although they may change as you move through life, the important thing is to know what they are right now so that you can follow them right now. Values can be defined in a lot of ways, but for our purposes, let's assume they represent your fundamental beliefs, the attitudes and attributes that you hold most dear, around which you want to build your life. Take out worksheet 2.1, and that lists a number of common values. I'd like you to circle the 10 values that are the most important to you. This should take you a little while. It's not that easy. Some of the values may seem to have the same meaning, but choose the ones that come closest to your intention. If you don't see something that expresses one of your values, just add it to the list. You may think you know what motivates your actions, but take a minute to be sure. And remember that it does no good to follow values you think you should have. So be honest with yourself. What values really are the most important to you? Go ahead and do this exercise now and restart this lesson when you've identified your 10 values. And now that you have your 10 values, we need to decide which are the more important ones and which are less so. In fact, some values are more important to you than others, and it will be helpful to understand which ones matter most. By evaluating which values have the greatest priority for you, you'll gain a better perspective of what your personal and career goals should be. Your goals should always be consistent with your values. To help prioritize your values, here's what I'd like you to do. Take out worksheet 2.2, where you weigh each value against the others. To begin, write down in any order, doesn't matter what order, the 10 values you circled. Next, compare value 1 to value 2. Is value 1 more important or is value 2 more important? And put a check in the points column next to the one that's more important to you. Then compare value 1 to value 3. Same exercise. Which one is more important? Go on and do this for value 1 all the way through value 10, comparing value 1 to all the other values, and put a check beside the winner of each comparison. Now, set value 1 aside and move on to value 2 and weigh it against values 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way through 10. You've already compared it to value 1. Then continue with value 3, scoring it against values 4 through 10, and so forth until all values have been compared to each other. Counting the check marks will tell you which values are most important to you. Ties are permitted. Many of us have several values that we prioritize equally, but try to declare winners if you can. Go ahead and do this now and restart the lesson when you're done. Now you've done that, you've prioritized your values, and what did this tell you about yourself? Did you learn anything that you didn't know before doing the exercise? Think about the implications for your work and personal life. Are you living according to your values right now? Are you emphasizing what matters most? Take a minute to jot down a few conclusions on worksheet 2.3 and restart the lesson when you've done that. Now that you've completed worksheet 2.3, let me ask you this. Were you surprised by the results? If you were, that isn't unusual. Most of my clients who've done this exercise have been surprised that certain of their values rank higher than others. It may not be that you actually hold those values more strongly, but rather that you feel those are the values you've been neglecting the most. Keep that possibility in mind as you think about the choices that you made. Now, this is the end of level 2 of the program, so let's take a look at some of the key lessons from this level. Lesson 1. An important time management tool is to identify the tasks that are important enough to deserve your time. That begins with identifying your values. Number 2, each of us is unique, and there are a lot of possible values you might have. This level, level 2, gave you the opportunity to identify what yours are. Be sure you are honest with yourself. 3, not all values are of equal importance. Prioritizing yours gives you a much clearer idea of the life you want. Have you been living in line with your values and their real importance to you? And what lessons did you learn from this level? So that completes level 2 of our program, and I look forward to seeing you again at the next level.